Welcome to today's Chit Chat WebEx. It is October 12th, 2023, and we had our bi-weekly Chit Chat WebEx today. And so in this video, I will try to give a brief summary of what was covered in the session. This month and starting on September 15th was Hispanic Heritage Month. So at the end of the meeting, I did acknowledge all of our Hispanic clerks. Some of the clerks had already signed off, but if you're watching this, I hope you had a great Hispanic American Heritage Month, which will close out on October 15th. So the important things that were covered during today's meeting was some dates, going over data management expectations, the errors that came out of working on the NJASSA process, talking about class enrollment, duplicate records, how to prevent and process those, and I think that was the gist of it. We did have some questions about reports, but yeah, that was the major part of what we covered. So let me begin. The NJASA report was supposed to be run and submitted yesterday, October 11th. Today's our chit chat. On the 18th is a staff development day. And then on the 26th, we'll have our next chit chat session for all clerks, and we hope you attend. The instructions, as well as a link to the form, was shared during our training, during our validation, via principal points. And I think Darren also emailed those instructions as well. They can be found on our support website. So if I get a chance, I will show you how to get to them. And the form is included in the instructions page. All right, so once I get out of my presentation slide, I will show you how to get to those. Coming out of the NJASA process, we found some entry codes, missing entry codes. So we shared with schools a list of students who did not have entry codes yesterday. We share that list, and students who also had some issues with their exit dates, like their exit dates were reversed prior to their entry dates. So some schools received a list of these errors, and we ask that you should have fixed them by yesterday. Another set of, they're not errors, but things that we wanted you to fix were students who were in SchoolMint but not yet synced to PowerSchool. So a list of those students was also shared with specific schools. Some of you may have gotten a link, or they were placed in your SIS team folder. And again, once I get through the presentation, I'll quickly show you how to access those information. So it is now October 12th. So we have put a pause on any transfer of students into or out of your school. So if you have not fixed those SchoolMint issues, don't worry about them right now. We're capturing the data that we have so that we can submit it to the state for the NJ Smart process. So as soon as we're finished, we will let you know when you can go ahead and process those students and enroll them into your school, or request that they be moved into your school. If for any reason the students are no longer coming to your school because they are now attending another school, the form shows you how to include that comment on the form. Duplicate records. So from time to time, we make a mistake here and there and create a duplicate record. But I've seen quite a few of these errors, and sometimes to me, right, it doesn't make sense, because I'm like, did you really search PowerSchool to see if the students exist before you created this record? I do understand mistakes happen, However, we strongly encourage that you do a thorough search of PowerSchool before you create a record. And also before you sync a record, because sometimes, we sync records to the wrong student. They have the same name, maybe even have the same date of birth, but it's the wrong student. The student graduated, or the student is, in a grade that's not near the grade that they're supposed to be in. So we want to do a thorough search of PowerSchool before we sync or create records. You can search using the start page under people, enroll students, and enter a partial part of the student's name, right? Enter their first name, their last name, and see what comes up. And then you can see if the student is active or inactive at another location within the district. So you don't have access to just go into PowerSchool and go to another school's database, but the district search feature is a way that you can search the entire district to see if the record exists. And if you do come across, or if you do realize that you made an error, immediately contact your SIS personnel, myself, or Dr. Adnan Izad if you're in the elementary school, Babu or Pat if you're in the high school. We will review both accounts. Of course, if you just created it, we will more than likely tell you to, you know, tag the new record as the duplicate. But if both accounts have been in use for a while, we're going to have to decide which one to keep, right? So if there's IEP information involved, special ed information involved, bilingual data attached to certain records, they are in grades 3 through 8 and they have testing information attached. They've been using that and submitting that information to the state over several years. Now we have to decide which one of those accounts we're going to keep. So be very mindful. Do a thorough search of PowerSchool before you create a record or sync a record. And if you do come across that step, come across any errors, sometimes you might recognize the error because you're now trying to sync a student and you find 2 accounts. Please send them to us and don't just ignore it. Let us know. We will then make the decision which one of the accounts we will keep, and then tag the accounts accordingly. You may also be required, we would tell you what you need to do, right? Do you need to copy data from one to the other, like attendance, any assignments that were recently completed? The teacher might need to be prepared to regrade some assignments if it's something we can't do from the back end. Unlink the SchoolMint application that has the incorrect account and then resync the record to the correct record. And then, make sure that we update the records to match the actual student's entry and exit dates into the school. All right, let's see what else. So these are some examples of duplicates that I've come across. We noticed that individuals have gone in and actually changed the name of the student to include duplicate. Please do not do that. We ask that you leave the record as is, send it to us, and one of the team, the SIS team, will tag the student's name as it should be. So I will show you what it should look like. So when you search PowerSchool, you will see some accounts and they should be inactive. If you see any accounts that has duplicate last name and student before the first name and they're active, please let us know. These records should be inactive. All right. So that's it for the duplicate records. In terms of course enrollment, we want to make sure that all students are in their homerooms, and going through this NJASSA process have helped us to now tighten in on our data and our program enrollment. So, just a quick search during our meeting, most of the schools that I checked, students were in their homerooms and in their core classes. So we need to just continue this process as students come in to your schools. Just make sure that you immediately put them in their homeroom and they are enrolled in all of their core classes. As for ESL or ESL students, if you have a bilingual program at your school, your students should be enrolled in a bilingual homeroom as well as their bilingual science, math, social studies, and ELA courses. If you have students who we do not support the language that they speak, those students should also, not also, those students should be enrolled in ESL and they should have what's called high intensity ESL, which means they have 2 periods of ESL, the standard ESL, and I think the reading or language and reading. Please forgive me. But they should have both ESL assigned to their schedule. Those ESL classes were renamed this school year. So the sections are created based on the student's grade level and their tiers. So please communicate with the BNAT, the Bilingual Needs Assessment teacher, to make sure that they give you the actual tiers that the students are in, so that when you create the sections, they are created correctly and the students are placed in the correct section that matches their grade level and their tiers. In terms of high school, I must apologize. I forgot there wasn't that much that Pat mentioned, but yeah, just again, make sure that the students are in their correct courses. If you find that a student, it's showing that they're not in their they're not enrolled in all of their core classes, it could be that the students have already mastered or completed the required courses for that subject area. Like for math, they have to take a certain number of math classes throughout their high school. So if they have surpassed those requirements and they're not enrolled in that class for this semester or this year, then it's going to show up as a flag. So if you know that that's the case, then just ignore it and proceed as normal. So I think that was it for the meeting. So let me just do a quick review in PowerSchool. So I'm going to let's go to the document that I spoke about. So this document that has the instruction, the student data audit for NJ Smart document. This was in principal points. At the very end of it, well, let me not go to the end just quit that yet. This page 2, shows you what's expected, right? These are all the reports that you should have run, all the data that you should have cleaned up. All right, what's next? Make sure that you validate your class rosters. This section tells you how to print your class rosters, right? Exactly how to set it up. You would copy and paste these areas into the class roster, and you get to the class roster from going to, it is, like the start menu, system, and then scroll all the way down and you get to the class rosters. And I guess I can go to it. System reports, all the way to the bottom, and you see class rosters. All right, so this is how you set up your class rosters. You print the class, you should have, right? So this is like preaching, after what's needed to be done. But if you didn't do it, it is important that you still, have your teachers verify, so that when we do open back up PowerSchool and you have things to fix, that you are still with and aligned with the expectations. So you should have printed the rosters, hand them out to each classroom teacher. Have the teacher verify that the student is in that classroom. If not, they would make a note. If the student is in the class but they're not in the PowerSchool, then the teacher would, write that student's name on the paper, so that you would then go back to your PowerSchool and make sure that you enroll the student into the class where they're not on the teacher's roster. So that was the whole gist of having, printing the rosters and making sure that the students are in their correct classrooms. It shows you their programs, whether they're special needs or bilingual. Now, creating the NJASSA report, this tells you how to run the report. The snapshot date of 10/13/2023, using 10/1/2023 as the date to determine the student's age, and the special ed age of 6/30/2024. The first time you run it, you're going to run it as a non-detailed report. So you're going to select no, because we just want to run it and see what it looks like and what to make sure that your data, your regular ed students plus your special ed students add up to your total enrollment. And you're like, what is she talking about? So in PowerSchool, each school, let's see, I am not at a school, so I'm going to switch to a school. And I just happen to go to Central High School. Here is your enrollment summary. You have 815 students, right? So when you run the ASSA report, you're going to get some values, and your total special ed and total regular ed should add up to 1815. Okay, so that's why you just run it with the no details at first. If everything is correct, more than likely all your students are where they're supposed to be. If there are any, if the numbers are off, then you'll have to run the detail one and do some research, finding out who's not in the right course. Sometimes students are marked as do not, they're marked as excluding from state reporting. And so you have to check those, or students are marked as half time, share time. So yeah, there's quite a few steps that you would take. And we went through that process, right, during the validation period. So once you have run this report, you would save it to your computer. And at the very end is the link to the form that you would complete. Complete, attach. So I'm going to go to my PowerSchool. Sorry for being all over the place. It is 5 o'clock and I am a little tired. And I need to speak up a little louder. So these are some reports that I already ran today. So what you would do when you run the report, right click, save link as, give it a name, right? Maybe add your school name, school. Now the browser shows you it was saved. So you click on this folder, right? So you can click on the folder. It opens up, folder opens up, open it up, and now it's going to open it up in Word. I'm sorry, not Word, Microsoft Excel. So it opens up like this, right? If, I'm going to show you what happens. So this is the number you're going to look for. The regular ed plus your special ed, those should add up to your enrollment summary number. And just look at these other rows. If you're, if you have any errors, see if there are any students that are like off. Some students who are beyond 18, they will not be reported. So maybe that's why there's a number that's off. I mean, if they're past the special ed age. So if I were to just click on view, I'm going to duplicate this page. If I click view, this is how it's going to come out. So you're going to see this and you're like, oh my gosh, I did not run the report correctly. Why does it look like this? And now my PowerSchool is all gone. So that's why we suggest that when you see the report is finished, you right click on it and save it. Or you can even right click and open it in a new tab if you don't mind looking at this text version. If you can just look at it and figure out what it means, right? So see, these are the numbers. Regular ed 371, special ed 11. All right. So that was that for this. You add the file. So the file that you save, browse to your computer and open it up and submit. So you only have to do that. You don't have to submit our rosters, your rosters. The rosters are just for your information and to make sure that all the students have been verified to be in their correct classrooms. Okay, so let's see, what else did I talk about just now? Duplicate grades, data management. class enrollment, the errors, yes, we did talk about the errors. So when I said, okay, we shared some files with you, this is the SIS point of contact document, right? So on this document, you can use this to contact a clerk. You need to get a student transfer to your school, just find the school and you can see who are the clerks that are responsible for PowerSchool. Beside the school name is a link to your school's SIS team folder. So if there are files or errors that we find that need to be fixed, we will put that information into your SIS team folder. So that's what we did with some of the files yesterday, right? So for example, this one that says SchoolMint PowerSchool, this file was the list of students who were in SchoolMint but had not been moved over or synced to PowerSchool. Some of them had SIS numbers, so we're like, why are these students here? Why are they not already in PowerSchool? The reason is, some of the students are now attending other schools, or they're still waiting on verification or other things for them to start the school. So we ask that you open up these documents. We'll try to have a system and we will let you know, if and when we place information in there. But every now and then, just open it up and see if there's something new in there that needs you to fix. So that's it for me today. I think I went way over time. Yeah, 25 minutes. Oh my gosh, that is a long time. I thought I was going to do like 10 minutes. So that was a gist of what we spoke about. We thank you very much for everything that you did to, from the trainings, the validation sessions, to get to this place where we are now. We, as in our team, Dan Cruz, Alex, and Darren, they are working on the data that needs to be submitted to the State Department of Ed. And so we thank you for everything that you've done. Remember, we're not transferring any students in or out of our schools until further notice. And, we will send you that information out shortly. I know there are still some pending transfers, but based on what we need to submit, that's it for now. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the last few days of Hispanic Heritage Month and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.